Welcome back to this week's episode. I get to bring and welcome back to you a special guest, Cassandra Rosa, who's been with us before. Cassandra is a certified coach and healer and an intuitive business coach. And I love her message and her purpose, really igniting spiritual entrepreneurs to find clarity, overcome those fears, and create impactful businesses. Welcome, Cassandra. I can't wait to dive into whatever is going to unfold today, but please tell us a little bit more about yourself and where you are now with what you've been creating.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. We were kind of speaking before the recording, like we're just so aligned with our missions and our wording and our messaging. So it's always a pleasure to connect with you. And yeah, just like Michelle said, I am really just leaning into my igniter energy lately as a manifestor in human design. And it really love to just help people to scale their impact to their next level of impact and success. And by doing that, I find it's really tapping into that clarity of what that path looks. So there's not so many question marks that are holding you back, conquering the fears, because I've been in business in this industry for almost a decade. And it just breaks my heart to see the amount of businesses that don't stand the test of time. And I really want to encourage people to make friends with your fear, conquer your fears, so that you can continue to create that massive ripple effect in the world. So that's kind of the season that I'm in right now. It's evolved and changed. It was crazy when we were talking about how we recorded in January, just to see like the evolution of both of us has been so beautiful to see. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to dive in today.
I love that. Well, let's start there because I love looking back and celebrating those wins and then really taking the time to see just how far we've come. And I recently had this experience. I just went to um, attend a transcendence experience. It's a live event from Alok Epadure. And I was there last July. And I was the first time I'm in the room and I'm with like 6, 7, 8 year figure earners. And I'm realizing in that moment that we're, as a human, we're always combating the same things, the doubt, the fears, the imposter syndrome, just in new ways. They're not stopping us, but they're present and they're important to understand that we don't ever get rid of them. They just move and morph into meeting ourselves at that next level. So as I was sitting there just this last weekend, I'm like, I had written some things down in my journal and I did these things. And you don't realize it if you don't intentionally look back. So maybe today let's play in the place of really looking back at your journey on where you thought you'd be and what's changed and what's pivoted and how we can integrate that topic of the conquering the fears and really rippling out that impact by igniting what's really important to us, those passions inside and being able to pivot with ease. Maybe not so
Yeah.
much ease, but being able to pivot and realize what's for us in that pivot. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, totally. I think it becomes more easeful the more that you just apply the tools, right? And give yourself the space to give the mic to your fears and being able to understand them and not bypass them. I think since like the beginning of the year, it's interesting. I think I've started to acknowledge and understand that setting intentions in September just feels better to me than it does in the new year because I feel like so much evolves and changes. As the year progresses. I
Yeah.
find that this year for me, up until this point, has been the butterfly in the cocoon busting through,
Mhm.
right? Acknowledging that, okay, these are the lessons that I've learned. This is the integration. This is the embodiment. This is the remembrance that I've taken part in, really giving myself permission to evolve like a butterfly, and then that busting through. And I found that in my own journey, it was that busting through, there was a lot of fears that came to light because this is like a new level of self, a new version of self that I've embodied in this moment and in this season. And as that's come forth, there's been this resistance because of the fears that come up.
Yeah.
Because our body, our mind, our subconscious wants to keep us safe. And by doing so, the sirens go off to kind of keep us safe. So all the fears, all the doubts, all the imposter syndrome come up to keep us in that kind of area of safety and comfort. And when we're making these big quantum leaps and we're making these next level of success and impact moments, we have to choose to give the mic to our fears and move past that to be able to step into that new version of self and to tell the body, mind, and soul it's safe to be able to step into that next level. So that's what that experience has been for me. It's been a lot of integration, it's been a lot of embodiment, it's been a lot of remembrance, it's been a lot of connecting with my intuition deeper than I ever have before, to be able to step into that. So it's such an exciting time.
It really is. There are so many beautiful nuggets in that that I'd love to take even deeper, and I know that you'd be willing to go into that conversation. So the resistance piece is really important. The fear piece is really important. And how I've learned this and how I see this with my clients is, as even humans, we will scramble to resist. We will go Netflix it, drink it, eat it, dumb it, shop it, whatever to avoid the discomfort. But if we can actually identify how we're being in the resistance, we can begin to utilize that as a super key code that the only way out is through it. And as we open ourselves up to experiencing all the emotions that come in that discomfort, the wisdom quickly drops in, which I think is cool. So I started reframing fear as fuel for the give a damn ability in something that I was creating. It's literally, you were talking about the igniter. It is the igniter because it's the truth teller. But it's not the truth that we've been telling ourselves up until this point, which is where we start finding some of those conversations in doubt or imposter syndrome. Those are the habits of the mind. That's been cultivating repetition from what we've maybe been telling it subconsciously or even in our own conscious awareness. And what I love about this conversation as we begin to meet ourselves at that very next level or desire we want something more or step into whatever that is. If you're a coach, then it's expanding your coaching and visibility. If it's an entrepreneur, it's what else is possible when I make more money or expand my business, right? We have a journey with that as well. And as we really tap into the truth and we're not afraid to see it, and we can bring in the acceptance of where we are in this moment, it can move mountains with allowing ourselves the grace and compassion that we'd be giving everyone else. And I think it's really important in that because we get to reframe not only how we're feeling it as it integrates, which the other thing I think happens a lot is we bypass the integration. We just go for more
Mhm.
information and what it's like when we are sitting in that, and that it's never going to stay that long, but it will always bring us through with more of that wisdom. What do you find most impactful on your journey in realizing the embodiment of that for you? And what are your like go-to signals from your body?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there about always seeking information because when I started my journey, I was in like 3, 4 courses at the same time, reading books, podcasts, like constant information overload. And I found that I really simplified. The past few years, I've stuck to one coach, one healer, right, at a given time, just to give myself the space to apply the knowledge and to be able to look for the golden nuggets and the questions and fill them in and
Yeah.
write on it and journal it and apply the small micro habits, right? Because we can have all the information in the world, but if we don't have the application, we're not going to be where we need to be. So that integration for me has just been like simplifying and connecting with my inner voice and allowing my intuition to be my guide.
Yeah.
Because in the industry, there's so much talk about you have to find someone that has what you have and walk the exact steps that they walked. And I find that mentorship and coaching is so beautiful and so profound. But I've been really intentional of working with people in my community and seeking that support with people that remind me that I have the key in my pocket. That's actually one of the things that my mentor told me. I don't have to be relying on things on the external to be able to get the results that I want to have. It's really about the remembrance. It's really about connecting with my intuition every step of the way. So, because I have this like inner compass, if you will, I find in those moments of doubts and fears and feeling unsafe, stepping outside the comfort zone, I have the answers as long as I take a moment to pause and go deep within and being able to uncover that for myself. So having that lack of reliance on things on the outside, it's really allowed me to cultivate this deeper trust within myself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the theme of this year for me, is developing that self-trust.
Mhm.
And that's allowed me to be able to access that within me, which has allowed me to calm down my body in those moments of being unsafe, and really befriend my mind and my soul and my body into this like triad, like a triad, like a pyramid almost, of all that I need to be able to step into whatever it is that I desire. So that's been so liberating for me.
It's real, it really is, and I'm thinking so funny. It's aligned with even my journey, even though there'll be differences in how we're experiencing those things. But I think of numerologically, this 8 year is really inviting us into the momentum and our personal power when we're in the momentum. So what becomes really important? What becomes things we can let go of? What is the simplicity leading us to in the mastery of those things? And whether or not you follow numerology or any of that, it doesn't mean that it hasn't been happening for each of us in our own ways. There's truth behind what we no longer cannot see. There's the experience of more trust and truth within our own body and embodiment of who we are. And I love that because you can't explore more intuition without trusting that it's real, trusting that you have it, trusting that it's a part of this innate chemistry that we are. And what I love about that is as you're leading these leaders through their businesses, it's also important, and my discovery as well in this whole stepping back this year. Yes, there's a comparison out there to see that others are doing what you're doing. So as you're choosing your mentor, you have to align in all the ways with that. Like, is there an alignment? Do you feel the resonance? Have they done something that you haven't done before? But also not getting stuck in the comparison of it, because we're really learning how to discern our trust. So one of the important things that I was hearing between what you were saying was really helping your clients understand, in the voice of that acceptance we were talking about, the truth of what is for them now. Maybe
Yeah.
they want $1 million business, but they need to be with where they are now and what's in front of them so they can experience what that's like. You and I have been on this journey where, maybe at first we're trying to just get this thing going and making the money that to replace the other job, or, that's usually progression. Then what happens? The mission becomes a little bit more impactful and meaningful than just the money. The money is a byproduct of the focus, the simplicity, the clarity, the passion. And what I think is so beautiful is my version of what that is now and your version is different. And that's a really important piece, because even though we can have somebody exempling what is for us, they don't have our journey.
Mhm.
Me at 56 is different than you at whatever your age is at. And so I don't have to have the expectation, but I also can keep in mind that something else is possible. So it's this interweaving of like really understanding and discerning, what is it now for you? What are the goals now? And let's stay there and stay the course in the simplicity so we can take the next piece. And sorry, I feel like I'm talking, but like the one last thing that I feel is so true is we can get so caught up in what we said that we are going to make, what we said we
Mhm.
were going to build, and we don't give ourselves the grace to move and pivot as we become that embodiment along the way. And so I would love for you to speak more to that, because our body is our truth teller. And
Mhm.
as we befriend the mind, we realize it's part of the body. Like, I don't know about you, but I used to visualize, if I just take my head off my body, that would be peaceful, right? And it's really about learning how this whole beautiful technology works. So we
Mhm.
don't have to even be afraid of that. And then beyond us trusting the body, asking the question, does my body trust me yet?
Mhm. That's a good one.
So wherever that takes you in the next piece of conversation. But it feels like an apropos part of the journey that maybe isn't always voiced, but it's such the truth teller in giving yourself the permission to be where you are so you can start taking those steps forward in bigger leaps.
Yeah, finding your own truth, I think, is something where it's really important. What I've really understood is, it's so inspirational to see about people's journeys and understand there's ways of thinking and allowing that to activate this remembrance inside of me so that I can further access my truth and my way of being. And I find that this is like the interesting place that this like self-help industry, coach healing industry is in right now, of not guruizing, like making everybody a guru,
Mhm.
and really being able to find that within yourself. And it's been a very deep journey. Like in the spring, I launched a series in my Facebook group called Going Deep,
Mhm.
talking about like the depths of the spiritual entrepreneurship journey. And it just kind of was this reminder of like, you have all that you need. It's just accessing it. It's like releasing, peeling back the onion, releasing all these things that we picked up along the way that don't even belong to us. Most
Mhm.
of most of our fears are rooted in like comparison and stuff that has been projected on us when we were young. So it's really that coming home, that remembrance has been just like such a beautiful thing. And to go into the depths of those experiences and go into the depths of the difficult stuff that you picked up along the way that has created these fears for yourself. That's something I've been really giving myself permission in the space to be able to uncover, so that I can really step into that next level of self in this next chapter and this new beginning, having that butterfly, flying moment. So,
I love that. It feels very much like a conversation around being our best observer and then
mhm,
letting the inner judger go. And who do we become when that's no longer the biggest soundtrack playing in the background, right? So what I can hear is, some of the listeners saying, but how do I do that?
mhm,
Maybe they're still in the informational thing or looking for that one next thing. This next course is going to be the thing. This next piece is going to be the thing. This is going to be the one. And they're burning themselves out,
yeah.
even on a subconscious level. What would you say to anyone listening who might be in that place of, I'm so curious and that what you're saying is resonating, but how and where do I start?
Okay. So, first, it's really getting to the desire of what it is that you want to create for yourself. What is that vision that you have for yourself? Right. So, really uncovering what that looks like, what that feels like for you, and making it about like the feelings versus getting caught up in too much of the physical details.
Mhm.
Because I used to be so type A. I used to plan everything to a T, and hate to break it to you, hate to break it to that old version of self. Often there is a bigger and brighter plan for us. So shifting from like crazy expectations into appreciation. So even
Yeah.
when I set goals now, it's like I have a vision and I know it's done. I know I'm going to be living on the beach one day. I know I'm going to be financially free one day. I know that I'm going to be traveling the world, right? I know I'm going to have a family. That's like a given, that's done. Visionary stuff, right? So having that, because that motivates you, that
Right.
lights you up, right? And seeing the massive ripple effect. I've been constantly seeing this image of like still water and like me making a drop and it rippling and then that rippling and that rippling. So that's done. So really uncover what that vision is for you, that you know in your heart of hearts, deep in your soul, that it's a done deal, that it's inevitable. And then it's looking at what's the resistance that comes up, giving the mic to your fears and writing it down. Writing it down. What are those things that are actually stopping you? What are those patterns? What are those loops? What are those limiting beliefs? What's your mind saying that isn't as supportive and isn't as loving for your journey to getting there?
Mhm.
Right? Like giving yourself the spaciousness to do that, actually answering the question, not bypassing this stuff, because this is often the stuff that is making it harder for us. Imagine that like mountain analogy that you had brought up. You're climbing up the mountain. If you have so many rocks in your backpack, it's going to take you longer. It's going to feel heavier. It's not going to be as useful. So taking the time to write that down, do a little ceremony, burn it, right? Release it. And then if there's some stuff that's extra icky and sticky and continuing to come up, then you know where to seek support
Yeah.
with different modalities to be able to go through that. Whether it's like NLP or hypnosis or all these different beautiful modalities, whatever it is for you, it's good to put a spotlight to whatever those things are. So you're able to heal them and transmute them. And then I call it the circle and start method in my business of you're writing down all the necessary steps that you feel like you're going to need to take to get there, right? Writing it down, no particular order. And whenever the I don't know comes up, it's like, no, just pause and go do something that allows you to connect with your mind, body, and soul. Going for a walk, meditating, so that you can kind of alleviate the I don't knows and start hypothesizing. Write it down, circle the first one, label another three, and start. baby of the babyest step. Maybe it's making one social media post. Maybe it's, hey, you know what? I've wanted to write a book for a while. Let me come up with the title. Or, hey, I've had this idea about this offering that I've been sitting on for a long time. Maybe it's understanding who it's for and what your mission is for it. Starting that, and then you'll always have like a guideline of all the stepping stones to walk on because they're all listed out there for you. And then when those first four are done, write down another three and get that momentum going. Because the smaller the step, the more like dopamine hits, the more accomplishment that you feel along the journey to get there. So that's something that I would say would be the system to be able to get out of this like stuckness and ickiness and stickiness and like actually step into that next level.
I love that. That reminds me of, I think like one of the biggest fears, and you can speak to this too, we think it's fear of, maybe the insecurities or different things that show up, but I really feel it's a bigger conversation around the fear of the unknown and
Mhm.
letting ourselves free fall into that a little bit. And so as we're making this list, we'll actually notice exactly what we were talking about earlier around the mind pulling back with the protection, right? And this is where we can observe. I don't know is code for I don't want to look, is code for
Mhm.
a fear. And so if you can be making this list and anytime I don't know comes up, ask yourself, what if I did know? What else is possible? And really building that ease in the body because you're going to feel the constriction, right? Allowing your nervous system just to breathe and realizing, yep, that's how we've been responding because we haven't been intentional with really aligning this for ourselves, pen to paper. And now knowing that you can't accept I don't know as an answer, what would the next kind thing be? Pretending that you do know. What if you didn't have to get it wrong? What if you just write some things down and you're not like signing a contract on it. It's just to get the imagination sparked in your mind again. It's really important. I used to play in that a lot. And when I was with my coaches, I would just, I don't know, like just it was my shutdown mode, right? And it really was it was a couple things too. It was like really trusting that unknown and we're wanting our intuition to spark at the same time. And you can't have both. You have to be able to surrender, so to speak. Not a lot of people like that word, but it really is a letting go. It's a free falling into I don't have to know all the things. I can make room for spirit, source, God, universe to meet me there, but I have to make a decision because this teeter totter, the universe is like, I don't know where to put that in, wherever you're thinking about most, you
Yeah.
know? And so we don't even give ourselves the opportunity to play in, let me just free fall in this and hold that vision and feel into the bliss of what I'm creating and loving it to be matched with the next resource, the person, the thing. And I really liked what you were saying about modalities because I tested them all to feel like, ooh, this is fun, this is juicy, this is exciting. And I think that's what it's about. So you can start experiencing yourself differently. And then the trust gets built because you're having fun, right?
Mhm.
You really do clear out the cobwebs to what else is possible. The intentional moments you were talking about creating more of this year for yourself is really a chance for that inner tension to be moved into a direction where our body knows what to do next. And it makes it so powerful.
Yes. Couldn't agree more. And I think like that how I don't know how to start a business. I don't know how to bring this to light, right? And the I don't know go hand in hand. And I find like the more that you can take just a moment to do something that gets you connected to your heart, to your intuition, right? That can help to mitigate the headiness that will allow you to be able to do the exercise and just get it done. And then you'll have some sort of guidance for those moments where you're like, I don't know what to do next. You have no excuse because you have that list of things written
Yeah.
out.
It's really powerful. And then, you know, I would say too, another thing is like get in the spaces, network with people, find those who are doing something similar or beyond, so you can actually be in the energy of experiencing that they've been there too. And now they're over here doing this next thing. It'll change your entire perspective on how you be and what else is available out there. And even just the connection, a big part of my journey way in the beginning was just getting out of the fear of talking to people. I had
Mhm.
wrapped myself up in I'm not very social and they're just lies. They're not real. It's just who would I have to become to step into that person networking and having conversations Do you find that that's important on your journey as well? And
Yeah, totally. I did some seminars. I went to one in 2017. I didn't know anybody. And I went there and I ended up doing this course, and it was a lot. I live in Canada. It was in the States, and was going there pretty much alone, meeting new people. So it's good to create these opportunities for you to bust outside of your comfort zone.
yeah,
And in that place, you'll be able to uncover your own truths because no one knows you. And you get to be more authentically yourself than others. And as you were learning from people, something that was really powerful for me too is uncovering that just because it's someone's truth doesn't mean it has to be mine. So taking what resonates, leaving all the rest.
yep. Again, that discernment, really being
Yeah.
grounded. I feel like it's like even positioning, it's grounded like a football player versus making it on the tightrope as you're crossing. You're going to get there, but wouldn't you rather be in that stable, like bring it on, I can take anything? It's like it's positioning yourself and knowing yourself, the energetics of that versus I'm not 100% sure and just kind of tight rope walking through life.
Mhm.
There's a groundedness in the self-authority piece, the power that we have and how that power can deepen. And it's not a power over people, but it's a power to make another choice, to choose for you because it's what you want, not what you've been told. And I think it's so beautiful to discover along that entrepreneur journey.
Yeah.
So where can people find you and where are people at in their business when they come to you?
Mhm. I find that it's either the beginning or the rebirth people that are ready for that next level, that are ready for the change, that are ready to impact full spiritual entrepreneurs, are the people that I feel like I get most lit up by supporting. And where they can find me. So it'd be Instagram,
Yeah,
Cassandra Rosa A is my handle, or my website, cassandrarosa.com.
beautiful. And we'll make sure we have all those links in the show notes. And you have a gift for our listeners today.
Yes, the Confident Entrepreneur Journal. It has 22 journal prompts to help you to let go of the self doubt and the fears on your entrepreneurship journey so you can finally start that business that you want or finally release that creative project that you're longing for. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll leave all the links for you to check that
Oh,
out.
absolutely, we'll include those. It's so good. So I always love ending the podcast with where you are now with your definition of purpose, presence, and prosperity, and how that's grown for you, how you've experienced those not only words, but essences along your journey. What would you share with our listeners?
I'm excited to listen to what my last one was and to see the change. Presence, purpose, and prosperity. So, presence is a priority for me right now. I am really taking the time to just be here now with the conversation that we're in, with the client call, with whoever I am sharing the space with in that given time. Purpose, my purpose in this moment in time is really focused on impact. Because I know the more that I step into my next level of impact, then that will help others create that ripple effect for their next level. And then that'll happen for their communities and their next level. So I think by me embodying that purpose, it just excites me to see
Yeah.
how I and everyone that I touch will, make their own impact on humanity in this time because it's really needed.
Mhm.
And prosperity, fun.
Yeah.
That is something that I've understood. Prosperity initially to me would have been really tied with money, but I realized the more that I'm having fun, the more that I'm being in that frequency of impact and enjoying life, then the prosperity will be magnetized to you in all of its beautiful forms.
Oh, it's so good. It was such a pleasure having you back. I love our conversations. I can't believe how fast time goes. I feel like we could be riffing for hours.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm just excited for people to connect with you and really land into the work that you're doing, and especially those who might be awakening and finding that they're wanting to live more purposeful. They want to create an impact in their home, in their business, in their family. They want to do something bigger as a mission to help the world, and having all of our voices being expressed, they get to resonate with the frequency that's in those voices, which I think is so potent and powerful. So what do you have upcoming at the time of recording? We're here just beginning of fall in
Mhm.
2024. What do you have upcoming for the rest of the year that's new and exciting that you want to share?
So, as this is coming out in October, I am releasing an Instagram Live series that Michelle will be a guest on called Conquer to really talk about entrepreneurs sharing the fears that they've conquered on their journey. And us really go into deep discussions about that, just to help to release the stigma for entrepreneurs. Because on Instagram, there's highlight reels and it's all the wins and the client successes. I really want to create a space that we can just have authentic and deep conversations about releasing the fears along the way and helping other people do the same. So I'll be
That's
on Instagram. You can check
yeah.
that out.
Follow her on Instagram. Keep an eye out for all the upcoming things. Cassandra, thanks again for sharing all your beauty and magic with the world. And I'll talk to you guys again next week. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Bye.